All right, we are back with Croc. Now, today is May 31st, and we're stepping into June, which means the whole world has been on lockdown for at least 4 to 6 months. Everyone seems to handle social isolation differently, and we're also affected by it in different ways. But I want to know how you've been affected. Like, how has the lockdown impacted your day to day? I know that you were talking a little bit about how it had this huge impact on how you make a living and the gigs that you had planned out. But how else have you been able to stay sane throughout this whole entire thing?
Yeah, well, it has been hard. I mean, it's been an amazing learning experience. I think I actually wanted some time off. I never thought that I'd get it in this. So it's been waves. Like I mean, you're at home and you try to think of what can you do, and it's like, yeah, you really. I think it's been a great time. It's been sometimes difficult, but I hope people don't forget this moment where you have that time to yourself and the whole world is at that same, like it's sometimes, like, for example, there'd be a bushfire here in Australia and there'd be nothing sort of in America, and then vice
Hmm.
versa, huge bushfires in America and
Hmm.
nothing here. But here it was just like everyone was in the same
Everyone.
position.
Hmm.
So it was quite surreal, like extremely surreal. And then the toilet paper situation, like
Oh
what the heck.
yeah, people hoarding shit. Oh my god, was it also pretty bad over there in Australia?
I think it started, I swear it started here, and then I'm like, yeah, and then yeah, I couldn't believe. And I feel like bins are the new toilet paper because I try to find a bin
Uh-huh.
like at Kmart. I don't know if you got Kmart there. You ever get Kmart
Yeah,
in the
yeah,
US?
we used to have one. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm trying to find a bin and there's no bins left. I'm like, what the hell are people doing? They're putting toilet paper in the bins now. Like I don't know. But yeah, it's been definitely a learning experience, and just seeing, it's giving me time to think what I actually want to do. So
Yeah. And in terms of your day to day, like, uh, are you able to stay pretty positive about it? Has your mental health been okay? What's it been like internally? Because I think speaking of quarantine and social isolation, I think one of the most fascinating things about this whole thing is how much you learn about yourself when you're forced to be alone. Like, for you, what do you think you've come to learn about yourself now that
uh
you've had this time alone?
yeah, that's exactly like I said. It came in waves. Like I'm like, sometimes I'm like, what am like? I actually had the time to sit down and go, what do I actually want to do, and what's holding me back from doing what I want to do.
Hmm.
And I I think I had a divine moment, and I can't remember where that was because it led me to here now. You know what I mean? So I'm
Hmm.
trying to think of what that was, but I was like, yeah, yeah, because I think I've passed that. When I had that divine moment, I think I just moved on from it, and I didn't remember what that actual. But it was something like things that were holding me back, and it really, this time has really allowed me to push through those and go, okay, now I just need to just do it. Like it's
What was holding you back? What do you think was holding you back?
well, I think in terms of, like, just for example, Pinoy Grill, it was always just a side hustle
Hmm.
because I was so busy with music. But now I've had the time to actually focus, that dedicate time to it, and I could see how that, like, it's just that simple time to give to it has grown even more. So if I can keep doing that, then it'll just continue to grow. So
Awesome, awesome.
yeah.
Now, I, I've spoken to a lot of people in the states about the lockdown, but I haven't really spoken to anyone in Australia. Um, in terms of how Australian like businesses and Australian governments have handled the outbreak, are you guys safe? Are you guys okay? Like, in the United States, obviously it is. It's pretty chaotic, but I know that it's been
Mhm.
like that everywhere else. I guess looking at the news and looking how you mentioned earlier, like, oh, something happens in the United States and then something happens in Australia. Like, I guess relatively speaking, like, is everything okay there? Do you guys plan on reopening soon? Like, how have you guys been acting to this?
Well, it's actually 1st of June here.
Hmm.
So actually today is they're they're actually, it's going to back to slight normality. Like clubs can now have 50 people in the
Oh.
clubs. Yeah,
Wow.
so it's actually because there has been less. Yeah, it's been really actually health wise, like COVID wise, there hasn't been many outbreaks or new cases in the last couple of weeks. So everything's quite going back to normality, which is sort of it's good. It's amazing, but I feel like people have just forgot now what that time was. Like it's just going back to normality.
Like
It's
there wasn't a
just
learning period or something.
yeah, I feel like everyone's just gonna forget about it and just go back to normal life, and yeah, it's gonna be which is again good, but I feel like this time has been such a precious. Like I was talking to someone, they said it's good to see everyone with their families and like riding their bikes and like
Hmm.
you know because they had to, like they could only stay in their hub, sort of thing.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
nice to see that that type of thing in the world.
Do you think that you guys are opening prematurely, or do you think that you have had everything? Because again, I don't know what it was like in terms of how you guys handled testing and all that stuff.
Well, it's yeah, it's a hard one to say. Like I feel like it could be a bit scary, like just but I think they've obviously weighed it up somehow. And if there's another spike, then we've all been there before, so I don't think it'll be too much of an issue going back to that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
But let's see. Let's see what happens.
Now, so far we've talked about food, music, mental health, but one question that I wanted to ask is something bigger and broader, and it's the overarching topic of life. I came across a post that you had made dedicated to your mama and the love and the
Yeah.
influence that she had on your life, and it got me thinking about how so many of us, especially in the face of everything going on with the coronavirus, have had to ask ourselves some serious questions about sort of, the purpose of life and things that truly matter to us. For you, what brings your life meaning? And after this quarantine, how do you plan to include more of the things that matter to you and the things that are meaningful to you? How do you plan on bringing more of that into your life?
Well, with music being such a part of my life, I've grown up seeing how like how it impacts people's lives, and if I can do more of that somehow, or leave some sort of legacy with my music or with the food or everything that I do, I always try to do something like that. Then that's more than what I can ask in a lifetime. You know what I mean? Like that's what everyone says when you have a gig, and sometimes you're just feeling like you don't want a gig, but it's a job.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm sitting there and I'm just like, oh man, I'm either hungover or I'm like I just go for that gig. And then there just be that one person you look out and they just give you that, I don't know, it's just that connection. No words are said, you just look over and you know there's a connection. And that's what I absolutely love that. That's what I love about music and life, just that connection with people. I think that's how it should be. Like especially with the craziness that's going on. I don't know if it's affecting you in the US, but I can see all these videos and I'm like, it's so bad. Like there's so much hate at the moment. And I feel like everyone just forgot about COVID and how we were all together at one stage. And now, unfortunately, a guy is, he's lost his life, but now all these repercussions is just, it's sad. It's a bit sad.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really hectic over here in the United States, and I think it makes the whole issue of dealing with this global pandemic even more scary because you have people who are, you know, protesting and fighting for their civil liberties in the middle of all this stuff. So it's like on top of them risking their lives, trying to relay this important message. I'm also worried about people who could be potentially exposing themselves to this disease. So that's what's always really
Ooh.
scary. And like you said, I hope that more people are able to take the lessons that they learned from the quarantine. I think being alone really does offer a chance to reflect, and hopefully, especially the United States, needs that. Crocq, I'm pretty stunned. We actually zipped through a lot of our questions, but I wanted to know, before I have we head out, what are you working on? I know that you have albums that you've worked on. What are you working on, and where can we find you?
Yeah, so I'm working on honing my production skills. So more original stuff will be coming out soon.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and just getting Pinoy Grill out there along with Love Tones and just spreading the Filipino love, you know? So yeah, you can find me on www.crocq.com.au, minipinoygrill.com.au, and lovetones.com.au. So
Awesome.
Instagram, Facebook, all that.
Awesome. Well, it's been a pleasure. I honestly, if you ever, I don't know if you ship in the United States, but I'd love to one day try Mini Pinoy Grill, and maybe we'll go ahead and feature it on the page sometime, man.
Well, yeah, it's actually available on Amazon US.
Oh, serious? Really?
There's a shipment coming. It should be arriving hopefully this week. It'll arrive this week. Yeah, it's up there. Amazon US.
Oh shit! All right, I'm gonna have to jump on that. All right, man. Crocq, it was a pleasure. You were always welcome back on. Yeah, man, it was a pleasure, man.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
All right, take care, Rock.
See ya.
All right, see ya.